Welcome to another Regardless webinar. This time, my name is actually every time. My name is tonnage, and this time I'm joined by our two experts, Yana Trubitsyna, hi Yana, and Inessa Kiristaeva,
Hi.
Welcome everyone to Let's Talk Only Representative. While we are here, I would also like to heartily invite you to our flagship conference next month, which is called Prague Chemicals Management Cruise. It will be a 2-day conference in the middle of April. You can take a peek of what it has to offer at pcmc2026.com. After I'm done with my sales pitch, as you probably can tell, I am not a salesman. I will do a quick overview of this webinar. So first, I will introduce this webinar. Hi, I'm introducing the webinar. Then Yana and Inessa will share a short talk, about 20-25 minutes. And after that, we'll get to your questions, of which there were.
There is echo. There is comment.
There's echo from Irene. And you talking. No, you're muted. It's okay. Is anyone else having the same issue as Irene? Please let us know. Thank you, Irene. I will one of the web screens if you have echo. I have I have deja vu at the moment. I believe we had the same conversation at our last webinar. Thank you, Paulus, again for being the tech guy. Yaroslav is the only one who can hear anything. Okay, so well, since your issues differ, I will assume that these issues are individual. I'll reach out to you individually after I finish with the introduction. Thank you for the patience. Let's continue where we left off. Yeah, this is not our first rodeo. Despite that, it still feels like it is at times, but you can check our other webinars on our YouTube. We've talked about REACH revision, about endocrine disruption, about Ukraine, about PFAS lately, and about the substances of very high concern in the past weeks. But now and today, at this moment, in this hour, let's talk on the representative. Yana, the floor is yours.
Good luck. Thank you. Thank you, Stana, for introduction. Yes, let's start. So let's talk only representative. Thank you very much for all the questions that were submitted. I hope that our presentation, my and Inessa's, will answer most of them, but in the end we have the Q&A section where we try to answer everything that we've got. We will start talking about only representative on the concept of European only representative, but in the end we will also mention the some REACH-like regulations where there is also a concept of only representative. I'm based outside of European Union and I would like to import my products to Europe. So what should I do? First thing that you need to do, you need to determine your registration obligations. So when the substance is entering EU, it should be registered in the case that the quantity or the tonnage is 1 ton per year or more. So you need to calculate all the tonnages of the same substance that belong to the same legal entity. And this means that under one legal entity, there could be different production sites. So you should calculate all the tonnage that you produce and then check how much of it you are going to import to Europe. So if it exceeds 1 ton per year, you should register, or you should ensure that your importer in the EU is actually having the registration already. First of all, this is substances as such. Then you can also be a formulator of mixture, and you might send the mixture to the EU, but then here it is calculated, the tonnage is calculated by the substance, so you might need to do some more calculations. And one more category is substances in articles. So articles itself are exempted from any registration in the EU. However, if, for example, you have a substance that is intended to be released from the article, this is also a subject to registration. Also, if you have substances of very high concern in the articles, the EU-based company might need to notify it to the authorities. So, do you need to register the substance? We at Regartis are able to help you with that because it does not depend only on the quantities. There could be some exemptions that apply, or, for example, some substances can be subject to different regulations. So before deciding whether you need to register, you might need to check more regulations. But since we are talking about the that there is some company based outside of the EU which needs to import the substance to the European Union, and the substance needs a registration. So how can you do it? How can you make your product compliant? There are two options. First of all, for example, your customer in the EU has registration or overtakes all the responsibility, and they register the substance, and you can just sell it. The second one is to appoint the only representative in the European Union who has all the legal responsibility for fulfilling the importer obligations under the EU. So this is the scheme of option one, acting through EU importers. So you can sell your product to different importers in the EU, and they have to comply with the obligations. So they submit the registration documentation to ECHA. This approach has pros and cons, as every approach. So for non-EU manufacturer, it lowers the costs because you do not need to care about the registration and appointing the only representative. And also the compliance process is simpler because your importer is reducing your administrative burden, and you can just focus on the product supply. Of course, there are cons. First of all, you need to disclose the composition because this is the information that is needed for your EU importer to register the substance or to decide whether the registration is needed. Also, you cannot really choose to whom you are selling your substance. By that, I mean that you can just sell it to the company that has the registration. And of course, if your importer fails to register, you could face some regulatory restrictions, like, for example, your product will just stuck in the border, in the customs, and probably there will no continuous supply for some time or anymore. There is another option, is acting through the only representative. So the non-EU manufacturer acts through only representative who is submitting the registration documentation to ECHA, and then covers the imports to EU-based companies. Of course, again, there are pros and cons. The good side of it is that you can keep your substance composition confidential. If you're a mixture formulator, you can also keep confidential your mixture composition. You can choose customers from the whole EU zone, so you can sell to more companies, and there is a regulatory oversight in one place, so it means that you have all the compliance centralized. The cons, of course, are higher costs because you need to invest to costs for registration, for testing the substance, and for maintaining the work of the only representative. So what option to choose? Of course, this depends on your business priorities and internal decisions. If you want the full control over the customer selection and confidentiality, then the good choice is to appoint only representative despite its higher costs. And if you want to minimize the expenses and you are comfortable to share the composition details with your importers, then this is the way you could go. And now I'm talking about only representative, but probably many of you do not know this concept very well. So Inessa will talk more about it. So Inessa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yana. Thank you very much. Thank you for this practical strategic insights that you start with, because that's the most important, that the actors of the supply chain understand their roles and see the options, how they can act. And I think it was very useful for the non-European manufacturers to listen to your presentation. And I want to ask if it's possible, like, who are you, our dear audience? If we can ask your role in the supply chain, so we can emphasize more on the topics of only representative that more related to you. So please tell us your role. Are you a non-European manufacturer planning to expand to your European market, or you already doing your export to European market and you still have some questions? Are you European importer, or you have some other role? And the other question, why are you here? What are you looking for? Like, are you looking for, again, expand European market, or you want to understand more of the concept of only representative, or you are dissatisfied with the current setup that you have now, while you're relying on the registration of importer, or you are not satisfied with your only representative, or the other. So we take few seconds, please answer the poll. And in the meanwhile, while you are answering, I will go on with my presentation.
And the presentation again.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. I would like to highlight that only representative appears only on the moment you have registration or authorization requirement. It means if your chemical product is somehow exempt from registration and it's not a substance of very high concern, there is no need to have only representative. But let's go a little bit more to theory, and then we can speak more on the practical side during our question and answer. So the core principle of the representative is set in REACH regulation back in 2006, right?
Yes.
So 20 years ago. And that was the first, let's say, precedent that allows the only non-European manufacturers to control the compliance of the European regulation. So Article 8 of REACH regulation stating that non-European manufacturer of substance, mixture, or article imported into Europe may appoint an only representative who is established in European Union to fulfill importer obligations in the framework of REACH regulation. The only representative must have adequate expertise, so maintain up-to-date records of imports, customers, safety data sheets, and inform all importers in the same supply chain who are then treated as downstream users. And the non-European manufacturer of substance, mixture, or article imported into European Union shall inform the European importers within the one supply chain about only representative appointment. This is the main article which regulates the only representative. Furthermore, we will speak more in details what means and who can appoint only representative, who can be the only representative, what does it mean to have adequate expertise, and how and who shall inform the European importers about the safety use of the chemical products. And I think our answers should be already in place. Tano, can you please show? Okay, so we have non-European manufacturers who still planning 10% and other. Okay, half of our audience are maybe chemical advisors or regulation compliance consultancies.
Or maybe you can indicate it in the chat.
Yes,
if you would like to share.
To expand to what others, and you want to understand. Okay, and 70% of you want to understand the concept better. Okay, so that's why we are here, and we try to make you understand the concept better. Back to here.
Sorry.
So who can appoint only representative? Yep, I can do. Yeah. As stated in the Article 8, it's manufacture of chemicals on its own in mixtures or articles or mixture formulators established outside the European Union. In practice, we are faced very often with the question if the non-European distributor can nominate an only representative and to proceed with registration. Legally speaking, no, it's not possible. It's only indeed manufacture of chemicals or mixture formulators. And for distributors, it's possibility that distributor will set a European entity and this entity will take the role of importer underage. So when we speak who can appoint only representative, either manufacturer or a mixture formulator. Who can be only representative? So only representative, it's a bridge between non-European manufacturer and the compliance in Europe, and this can be a physical or legal person established in European Union. Only representative can represent multiple non-European manufacturers, and for all of them, they have separate contract. And in case, for example, if it's a big group of companies who have multiple manufacturers or multiple production sites all over the world, each of the production site is considered as a separate manufacturer. So like one holding company having, let's say, 15 different production sites, it should be 15 separate contracts appointing only representative. Appointed only representative appointed through so-called only representative agreement. And this is the main document which regulates and defines the rights and obligation of both parties. The confidential issues should be mentioned in this agreement. And this is very important. And very important thing that this contract regulates the responsibilities of parties in case if the compliance is not reached. So because only representative is the entity which is responsible in front of European authorities. So once it will be fines or penalties or even like in prison, then it's only representative who will be the one to punish. But the action of only representative depends a lot on the information which he received or she received from only representative. Is it he or she? That's interesting question. They. Yeah. So what they receive from the non-European manufacturer. And these responsibilities, obligations should be thoughtfully and in detail written in this agreement. It's a very important document. And what does it mean to have an adequate education? So only representative practical experience with substances or related information to meet the European importer obligation. In practice, it is usually indeed the relevant education. In our company, most of us have the scientific or chemical engineering education. And practical experience, like, I don't know, we are here almost all of us for 20 years working.
We got some experience.
We have some experience with regulatory issues and only representative especially. So this can be demonstrated by the diplomas, certificates, or of course references from the customers, or CVs of the experts, which is also very often asked by tender committees of the big companies. So
I should update my CV in this case. It's like 6 years old.
Yeah, and especially because you keep on visiting
Training,
trainings, qualification
yeah,
courses, like, and now with artificial intelligence, for example,
Yeah.
you can't stay on the same spot. You, as an only representative representing like 200 customers, you have to know how to deal and what are the new tools you can use, because indeed the sufficient experience and the tasks which are standing in front of only representative are quite broad. So only representative should have understanding of the substance properties, classification, labeling on the CLP. So like chemical safety and hazard assessment, what is that? And now, for example, again, the artificial intelligence can do and can help in that. And as only representative, you really need that. But it's just a very small example. Rich registration process. So what are the data requirements? What is Euclid? Because like non-European manufacturers are not supposed to know what is the Euclid format. Very often we send this dossier to the customer and they say, I can't open it. Yes, of course, because it's very, very specific. And what is the rich IT system? So this all experience of only representative, which is absolutely vital. So supply chain communication. It's managing the data from non-European manufacturer, communicating with the downstream users, and keeping these records, which is the first question which we are getting from the authorities, from inspections, like what are the records you have on this communication. Safety data sheet. So to inform the downstream users in the supply chain, it's the safety data sheet. So like what is this document about, how to prepare it, how to update, and how to ensure compliance with the latest requirements. All these are the tasks of the only representative. Substance identification, especially it is very important in cases when we have the substances of unknown and variable composition. And only representative should really keep the assistance for the non-European manufacturer to help him to identify what exact substance should be registered. So volume tracking and record keeping. It's maintaining accurate import quantities and customer data. And here in place, we have some automatic systems which help us on a regular basis to extract information from the non-European manufacturers and keep it in our system. And regulatory updates. So, of course, that's our day-by-day life. We are keeping our eye on what's going on in REACH CLP and related European chemical legislation, as well as chemical legislations of the other countries, but we speak about it a little bit later. So as you see, the only representative experience expected to be very broad and wide. But not only experience of only representative is important to fulfill the compliance tasks. Also, the non-European manufacturer have to understand that they have responsibilities, and only based on the information which only representative get from the manufacturer, the compliance can be fulfilled. So non-European manufacturers shall inform European importers within one supply chain that only representative was appointed. And he must provide the only representative with a list of importers and its products, including information on the use of the product, data on the tonnage of substances contained in these products, information on the products necessary for registration and for completing the registration dossier, so like details on the substance, manufacture, use, composition, everything, like analytical data, that's all supposed to be received from the manufacturer, and information and documentation required to comply with REACH obligations such as safety data sheets. So it's very important to understand that only a representative with a good experience, with a lot of knowledge, still can fail to make your products compliant with requirements if the information that he or they receive is not full. So this is very, very important.
Yeah, I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think it's very important to mention that we are not the wizards, and we cannot make everything available, and we cannot see some things that customer has. So yeah, it's also about the agreement, about the communication, and the non-EU customer or any customer should keep communicating the information, the important information, with their trustee or with only representative. This is really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we speak about information which might have confidentiality, and manufacturers are not very often willing to share the composition or the supply chain, the importers. And that's why like the option of choosing the only representative is more safe for manufacturer, because otherwise you have to disclose this information to your importers. So choose your only representative very thoughtfully. And coming back to the responsibilities of only representative. So provide documentary confirmation of compliance with REACH registration and import obligations. In practice, this is so-called REACH compliance declarations or tonnage coverage certificates. These tonnage coverage certificates are related to a certain European customer with the contact details, with the use of the product, and with the exact tonnage which this importer is buying from the supplier. These documents are not written in the legal text of REACH, and they are not also like outlined in the guidances, but this is the best practice which we are following, also being the part of the only representative organization, which is put in the best practices for only representative. So the next responsibility is collect and retain all information on imported substance, including safety data sheets, for 10 years. It means that in some cases, supplier, the non-European manufacturer, can comply the safety data sheet themselves, but in any case, the only representative should have the copy of this safety data sheet. Supply information upon request to ECHA. So only representative is the contact point for all European parties, such as downstream users, such as co-registrants, or ECHA, or authorities of the country where only representative is established, or the enforcement inspection. So it's a big coordinator of all information on the behalf of non-European manufacturer. And again, it is important to understand that information which is received from importer is the basic for the possibility to be compliant with REACH. Only representative can do that alone without information from the importer. And just a few words about the change of only representative, because some of you answered that you have already your export in Europe, but you are not satisfied with the setup, and perhaps you are not satisfied with your only representative. There is a possibility to change your only representative. The system allows it, only that it's important to understand that it's a subject of ECHA fee, depending on the company size. That this change requires cooperation between former only representative and the new only representative. It should be supported by the documentary evidence of the new only representative appointment. And important point, which I want to say, that if there are some changes in the non-European manufacturer, so let's say you change company structure, any changes, that may lead to the change of only representative, like formally change of only representative, because one registrant only representative is a couple, let's say, of non-European manufacturer and only representative. Whenever one of the partners is changing, it's a change of the whole registrant. So this is important. Maybe if you have questions about it, because we are getting them quite often, we are very happy to answer, because we are really in our work working with quite a lot of companies and of supporting them as only representative, not only in Europe, also in the UK and in Ukraine and through our partners in Turkey. And the concept of only representative is more or less the same, but the countries, they have specific requirements. For example, in Turkey, the only representative, beside all these requirements of expertise and settled in in Turkey, should be a certified company. So it's a special certification system there. And in India, for example, one person cannot be nominated for multiple companies. So it's just one representative for one company. But these specialities we can discuss if you are really interested in that. And I think that this is everything that I wanted to tell. Please, Yana.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that here I just we try to consolidate the obligations and how it works in different countries, and this table seems to be huge. However, it contains really some basic information, and the important thing is that the things are changing very fast, as we know. So, for example, for UK REACH, you can see there the deadlines in the almost last column, and there are many talks that these deadlines were postponed or will be postponed, but in the HSE website and the government website there are still these deadlines that you can see on the slide, so that's why we put it there. So when you need to really check something, you need to check it with authority, or we are able to check it for you or discuss it with you. But maybe it gives you at least some overview how it works, and maybe it will help you or trigger some more questions.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, at the moment, the table might not be too high of a resolution for you, but rest assured that in the PDF slides you will receive after the webinar, it will be clearly visible. But yeah, mind that it might change information in this table. There is a lot from multiple different points of view, so it is bound to change at some time. Anything else you would like to add, Yana, or should I take over?
I think you should take over.
I'll be taking over the sharing because we had some technical issues with the presentation, but this should do the trick. Yes, there you go.
Yep.
Right, so I'll try to be able to keep up with Q&As and with chat. It might prove a bit harder for me to do when I present as well, but yeah, the presentation wasn't for some reason updating itself. So let's move to the Q&A.
Do you want to the cable?
No, it's okay. You can just.
Oh yeah, we can just see this here. Yeah. Okay. Just a moment.
All right, so how the Q&A will work. In general, you probably aren't first time here. If you are a first timer, we try to prioritize live questions. So if you'd like to talk to us, feel free to raise your hand. I'll keep track of participants, and should you want to ask your question live, we will give you priority over questions from registrations, for example. There have been some questions which have been repeated now in chat or in the Q&A from the registration, so I'll try to bump them up as well. And
the speaker cannot be heard.
Speaker cannot be heard. Okay, let's put it like this then, and I'll put this between you. At some time, we'll improve our studio with 3 microphones, and then hopefully we'll erase all these issues. Thank you, Julia, for letting us know. So first, Nina was asking, is it possible to combine the role of EU importer and only representative?
Oh, I can take this question? It is possible, but it has a lot of consequences, because European importer who is importing and responsible for the quantities of products that he is importing, if at the same time they are the only representative, they will know also the other information about where this product goes to other customers in Europe. So in this case, legally possible. There is nothing, if the European importer have the expertise and established in European Union, it is possible to act as only representative. But in practice, it can be a conflict of interests and confidentiality issues.
And I think it's also, we can add that you may act as EU importer and only representative. However, you cannot register the substance as, like, you cannot change this role from
you
one
cannot,
to
yes.
another.
Yes, you cannot change, so you have to do two registrations for the same substance. And maybe here also it's worth to mention that usually the services of only representative are provided by the consultancy agencies, by regulatory inspectors, so like by those who already indeed in this compliance world, not in the world of business of supplying the chemicals. But I think these are a little bit split, different worlds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I believe that is exhaustive. Let's move to Julia. How should agreement between the non-EU manufacturer and only representative be formalized?
I think this is a question more to Inessa, who is dealing with agreements.
Yes, as like the salesperson here at Regartis, I'm dealing a lot with only representatives contracts. As I mentioned in my, let's say, speech, that it's important to address the confidentiality issues, the obligations of importer to provide information on the product, and the obligation of only representative to fulfill the compliance requirements, and also to include there the information of what will happen if compliance is not fulfilled and the only representative is one to be, let's say, punished for that. How then the responsibilities and obligations will be split? I hope I answered the question, but formalized. Yeah, it's
as always. Do not hesitate to either let us know that our answer was dissatisfying or follow up in further mailing. You can let us know. You can ask. We are always happy to answer. Let's move on to Alexandra, who has multiple questions. This is the one asked in the Q&A at first, so I'll try to condense it into how are checks carried out in practice. That's the last sentence of the whole question. But in general, if we are importing formulation from outside EU, how are checks carried out? Checks by Ekaridis.
Yeah, I think, I'm sorry, I will just try to read very fast the questions just to be in the context.
Let me...
and also maybe to give other participants the time to read it, right?
You are correct. I'll read it out. Thanks for So if I'm an OR importing a formulation from outside the EU, I understand that I need to review its ingredients and register those present above 1 ton per year. What I would like to understand is the extent to which the authorities can investigate the actual composition of the formulation to verify the information I report and to determine any resulting breach obligations. How are these checks carried out in practice? Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for reading it out loud. So I'm not stressed that I'm reading too slow, for example. Okay. So if you are importing the formulation from outside of EU, you need to review the ingredients and register those that are present above 1 ton per year. This is correct. And how do authorities investigate the actual composition of the formulation? This is a very good question. Maybe to the authorities, how they do it in practice, because in my experience, I have been experienced the checks from the competent authorities. Like, for example, here in Czech Republic, it's a Ministry of Environment. And I have never met this situation when they actually are investigating the composition. I think the first step would be to review the documentation that you have. And what can trigger really this check, I think, is if the composition is wrongly wrongly registered or wrongly, reported. And for example, you have some substance that causes some risks for human health that maybe influences the classification. And then if there are some problems caused to a person or to environment, and your substance is registered or declared as non-hazardous, maybe this is something that can trigger this check. And then I think that even some additional testing might be performed, but I cannot really say it with 100% being sure, because I'm not from the inspection. And and once we meet the people from competent authorities, actually at PCMC soon, I think this is something I will ask during the networking or roundtables that we're having there. So thank you, Alexandra, very much for this question.
I believe this is a great question for the enforcement. Enforcement roundtable, actually. Yes,
I just want to add that yes, we are not from enforcement authority, but we do have some information from our customers, and I know that some of customs, they do have a chemical laboratory to test the samples of the products. It is existing, like in Finland. I know that, like on the Finnish border. And of course, I also want to support what you said, that if the composition or the constituent is hazardous, and if you are exporting big amount or like big tonnages, you will be prioritized for the inspection or for check. And the safety data sheet, that's the core document. They will see the composition. If they will get any questions, they can then go further for the actual test, like how to check what is inside.
Let's move to someone else from Alexandra for a second. This is Yana, not this Yana, different Yana. Maybe Jana, I'm sorry. Which entity?
Or Hannah.
Maybe, thank you. Which entity should provide SME documentation? The only representative or the non-EU company?
Thank you for this question also. Despite of the fact that the only representative is the one who is stated in the retake team and in the EUCLID and your registration documentation, the SME documents should be provided by the non-EU company, which is one of the things that really I think should be formalized in the agreement, because it's sometimes really hard to determine the company size for non-EU companies. And as only representative, we are doing our best to provide the guidance how to actually declare the company size, how to define it, because you can be the small company, like 2-3 people, but you can be owned more than 50% of your company by some bigger corporate, for example, and that makes you not micro company already. So it's this is up to non-EU company to provide the documentation, and this is up to only representative to make sure that all risks have been assessed.
Should you like to learn more about SME documentation and its related obligations? Check out our SME verification webinar.
Yeah, actually, it works right now that you provide the documentation, and then ECHA might check your company or not if you are really SME. But in future, which is actually mentioned in this SME webinar, right? There will be the check first, and then you will be entitled or not for SME status, which I think makes sense.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's move to Alexandra. Back to Alexandra. What are the duties under our only representative role in the EU? And a follow-up question: as an only representative, am I required to regularly submit substance volume tracking to ECHA?
I can take this. I think the duties of only representative we discussed before. So the main duty is to have registration. to be coordination and communication point in Europe between all the actors, like downstream users and authorities. Then keeping the records of the volumes and the importers, and to supply the downstream users with the evidence documentation that this compliance is done. And only representative is not required to submit substance volume tracking to ECHA on a regular basis. This information is submitted in case the registration dossier is updated. But you don't have to submit this information to ECHA. This information should be submitted from non-European manufacturer to only representative on the regular basis.
I was wondering if I should add anything or move to next question, which is in a similar direction by Annika, who is asking, when a substance which has been registered by an only representative is imported into the EU with the help of a clearing agent, who is obligated to confirm REACH compliance for customs clearance? The non-EU manufacturer, the downstream user, or the OR?
Okay, here I would say this is the entity which is actually importing the substance to the EU. So it means, for example, you're based in Germany, company A is based in Germany. So what company A does before the product enters EU, the company A should ask their non-EU manufacturer, do you have a registration? Do you have only representative? Yes. And then to ask the only representative to supply the tonnage coverage certificate or declaration on registration. So once your product is at customs, you are able already to provide the documentation, the confirmation that your product is registered. I'm advising not to wait until the product is already on customs and it's stuck because customs are missing some documentation. Please ensure this documentation before.
I think it's a great, let's say, case study. Yeah, like so on this case, non-European manufacturer should provide information to the European company who is buying that there is an only representative nominated, and they should be in contact. The only representative provide to this European buyer certificate and the declaration, and with these documents, the custom clearance is done by the European buyer. So only representative is not in the customs clearance documentation, but only representative have the documents provided which are accompanying this clearance. Yeah, I think this is.
I think you explained it very well. Thank you.
But it's exactly the question which we are getting very often.
Yeah, it's like you're a good policeman and I'm the bad policeman who's saying, don't do that and don't do that and ensure that.
Thank you, policeman.
Policewoman.
Next question is by Astrid, who I believe was in chat, is present actually as well. Astrid would like to know more details on legal entity connections. The questions are, does only representative need different legal entities for different non-EU manufacturers? And the second one, if non-European Union manufacturer has different production sites, how is this reflected at the only representative?
That's a tricky one. Do you want to take it? Or
okay, I can. Yeah, I can. So only representative can represent and act on behalf of a different non-European manufacturers, like Regardis acting as only representative on behalf of almost 200 non-European manufacturers. And non-European manufacturers have different production sites. Each production site is considered as a different manufacturer. And each of the production site should nominate the only representative. In case the production site is moved to another one, it's again the reason to change, let's say, the only change this couple, the manufacturer and only representative. And how it is reflected in the EUR.
I think that you can also include these different production sites to your registration dossier. But there are several conditions that should be met. You should be really one legal entity in this case. If you are an EU manufacturer, so you cannot just have different companies which are under one registration. It should be really one like under some umbrella, connected legal entities, and it should be the same substance.
Yes. Thank you, Yana. Yes, it's a good clarification.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Astrid.
And I can see in the comments that our CEO just commented what I just said. So Jan, hi. We are happy that you're also following, and thanks for clarification.
I will just clarify for others who cannot read the message. Different production sites may belong to the same legal entity, therefore would be covered by the same only representative appointment as the SIG citation.
Yeah. So I'm happy that my words were just confirmed.
And also, hi Jan.
Hi Jan.
Thank you, Astrid, for feedback. It's nice to see that answer is listened.
Maybe for others, some of the questions can be directed to host and panelists, which are popping up on our screens, but not everyone can see them.
Okay.
But next question is actually a follow-up on Annika. It's by Marta. Marta wanted to follow up Annika's question. Let's say I'm importing a substance from the non-EU manufacturer who has appointed the only representative. How my obligations for REACH registration are covered by OR? Do I have to enter into agreement with the OR to be REACH covered?
No, there is no necessity to have a contract between importer or like buyer and the only representative. The contract only between non-European manufacturer, so your supplier, and only representative in Europe. But not the contract, but the contact with only representative you should have, because only representative should provide you with the REACH declaration and tonnage coverage certificate, which will reflect the amount of the product that you are purchasing from this supplier, from this non-European manufacturer who appointed only representative.
Thank you, Inessa. These seem like very simple concepts, but they may yield very complex results and situations.
Yeah, it always depends very much on details. So yeah.
I will use this opportunity to read out a contribution by Frank towards the legal entity. If you want to read it all, it's in the Q&A. I didn't have time to put it into the presentation. In the Q&A interface, Frank says, for information, currently ECA enforcements are checking the true company size legal entities have applied during the REACH IT registration process. If the company size has been changed since, you should update your legal entity profile as soon as possible, as there may result a penalty if ECA observes incorrect company size value. Yes, thank you for the complement contribution. Addition. Yeah, thank you, Frank. It's always a pleasure when we have more knowledgeable people in the audience.
And communication, like we feel, because we are now speaking with a screen, and it's nice when screen answering.
Okay, thank you, screen. Let's move to Marta. Or actually, we moved to Marta from Marta. I didn't realize. How the only representative role covers the obligation for REACH registration in EU for EU companies purchasing chemicals from non-EU suppliers? What do purchasing company must do to be covered with only representatives REACH registration? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is just a...
I think we are going a bit in circles. But,
So let's... Do we want to move from this? Marta, please let us know if we haven't covered this. I didn't realize that your question from the registration is so similar to the one following up on Annika. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Okay, let's move to Sylvia. Sylvia is asking, is the OR only responsible for registration, or must it also provide, for example, safety data sheets and exposure scenarios?
Yeah, this is also one of tricky questions, because from From one point, the only representative is responsible for, according to REACH, so he's responsible, he or she or them are responsible, for this information. However, your non-EU manufacturer can also have their own safety data sheets. What only representative is responsible for is for having the information in the CSR, which is a chemical safety report, and accessing the risks and making sure that all uses that the customers have are covered in the registration dossier, or that the customers are informed that some use may be not covered. Yeah, but what we are doing, we are trying to ensure also the compliance, the SDS compliance for our customers. So we take it as ours. Do you want to add something?
No,
Yeah.
I think you are absolutely great.
We are slowly nearing the end, so let's do a few more questions and wrap it up. Oh, actually, we have someone who would like to talk.
Wow.
Oh, I believe this is the first one in March, definitely.
Yeah.
So Martina, if you'd like to talk, now is the time.
Hello, Martina.
Should you unmute the?
I already asked. Well, sometimes it happens that people raise their hand by accident. So Martina, feel free to interrupt or cut us off anytime. Meanwhile, let's move to next question by Magali, who asked, "What happens if the imported tonnages are higher than those notified to or by the OR? Who is accountable?"
All right. So first of all, this again is about communication. So the correct approach here is that the only representative is following the tonnages which are imported, and once you are getting closer to this limit that you have registered, then it's time to think about updating your registration with a higher tonnage band or stop importing. However, if it happens that some substance tonnages were imported and it's more than the registration is covered, this is already the problem, the legal problem, which is like illegal import. So first of all, what should be done? The measures without undue delay should be done to update your registration and cover it. If it happens continuously, who is accountable here? This is, we can maybe split it to the only representative who is accountable and needs to perform all the measures to cover it as soon as possible. And of course, it is about the agreement between the non-EU manufacturer and only representative, where you also have described the responsibilities. So I would say this is both are accountable, but from different points of view.
Yes, I just want to add that we are collecting information for the past period. So we are collecting information for the past calendar year, and we are asking if the customer know information planned tonnages. And then in the end of the next period, we are again asking. So for the cases when registration is in the biggest tonnage band, it's not that critical, but it can be checked like within, let's say, 2 years. In cases when registration have these limited tonnage ranges, then it can be critical, and then it is important for importer or for the supplier to know that and to keep in mind that if they or if they exceed the threshold of their registration, they need to notify only representative about it, and registration should be updated within 3 weeks or 3 months. Yes.
Yeah, my apologies for the short delay in my response.
More questions?
Let's have one final question before we wrap up. And that is by Gay, who is asking, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, as a non-EU manufacturer in the aerospace sector, how can an only representative help us proactively monitor the candidate list and Annex 14 to avoid sudden supply chain disruption?
I think this is again the question to the only representative appointment agreement, where one of the obligations of only representative to keep the customer up to date with the latest developments of the regulatory requirements, including the candidate list. And for again, I will repeat that only representative in that way need for authorization. If you are planning to place the articles with the substances which are under authorization, so it's Annex 14, then this authorization should be done through only representative. If you are not planning to do that, then you don't need only representative.
Thank you for the many questions, and thank you to everyone for participating. We are already a bit past 11, so we will be wrapping up. I will use this opportunity to let everyone know that should your question, or if your question wasn't answered, please let us know if you'd like to expand upon it. The best way to let us know is through the Contact Us button on the link I sent in chat. If you'd like to check Prague Chemical Management Cruise, you can do so at PCMC 2026. Thank you, Astrid. We are looking forward to having you as well. And if you would check the film, I bet. I know I already shared 2 links. There is a third link on the feedback form. It's a little bit up in the chat. I didn't manage now to grab it before I started speaking. But please do let us know how you found this webinar. It helps us a ton, and it helps us shape the future webinars, both in terms of technology we use, in terms of format we use, and in terms of the topics we cover. We always try to cover what you are interested in hearing. So if there is anything you'd like to discuss with us, let us know. Thank you, Yana, and thank you, Inessa.
Thank you, Stano.
Thank you, Stana.
And thank you, everyone, for being with us.
Dear participants, thank you for your thank you words that we now see in the chat. And yes,
it warms our hearts so much.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to hear nice words or to read them. Good luck. Have a nice day, everyone. Enjoy the world.
Bye.
Bye.